Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey, what's up? My name is John Wavy.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Yeah, of course. So my name is John Wavy. I'm from Portland, currently based out of Vancouver.
Okay, hell yeah.
The music I make is hip hop mostly.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for being from Vancouver now. But let's go ahead and get on into what got you started with music originally.
Originally, what got me started was a hard time I was going through, and I was in middle school. I had ISS in school for basically, PDA. Mm-hmm. But I was struggling at home with some family issues and stuff, so I was just writing a song out of nowhere when I was in ISS. That was when I made my first song. And then after that, what really got me into music was just loving the sound, mm-hmm. and being super inspired by all the music I was listening to. It was around high school when I started to really get into making more music. Okay. Hell yeah.
And so was anybody around you growing up musical at all? Is anybody in your family a musician or anything? Like
not really, no.
Okay, so you're the first generation of it.
Sorta, yeah. I mean, my father, he had played a saxophone, but he never really uses a voice like that.
Gotcha. Was he playing when you were alive, or had he played before you were born?
I think he played a little bit before I was born. But yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah. Well, and God, I'm kind of curious. Do you remember what the song was about?
The first song?
Yeah.
Wow. Nah, that's crazy. I haven't thought of that in a lot of years.
Well, we actually have it here yet. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Yeah, if only I recorded it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that song was just about life and getting through hard times, being hopeful even when, you don't feel much hope, but, just getting through things. I was just talking about my problems, I'm pretty sure, and just trying to make a groove out of it, make a cool song.
Oh, yeah. And did you have a beat that you did it over, or did you just kind of write it all a cappella?
It was a beat, actually. I think it was an R&B type beat.
Okay.
Something like that.
Very on brand.
In that middle school, I snuck my little tablet into the ISS room.
Okay.
And that's how I found the beat. While I was in there, I just was searching through YouTube and found that beat.
Oh, yeah.
Started writing.
I dig that. And then we have a couple foundation questions we kind of check in with everybody on. And this first one, it's one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Well, this one's interesting because, to be real, I have never bought a full album.
That's all right. You'd be surprised how many people that's the answer for.
Yeah. I think instead of which one I had bought first since I hadn't bought one before. I think the album I would have bought would have been A Love Letter to You 3 by Trippie Redd. That's what I would have
Okay. That's actually a cool alternate answer to that question. Usually I say, what was the first album you listened to like cover to cover?
Yeah.
But I like that. I'm going to start using that instead. Thank you.
Nice.
And then what was the first live show you ever went to? That was like one you wanted to go to. So like you saw what was happening, got tickets, went to it.
The first one I really wanted to go to, it was a Trippie Redd show.
Oh, perfect.
It was actually for that album.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, you should have bought it at the show.
Yeah.
No, I guess hindsight's 20. But who was performing with them?
There was Cody Shane. There was Chris King, R.I.P. Chris King. I think there was like one more opener before Cody Shane, but yeah, it was Cody Shane and then Chris King and then Trippie Redd.
I bet that was a good show.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And then before we get onto you in the present day, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
I would say yes. I would say about 2 years ago was a time I was really rough for me, and I realized that music was something that I definitely wanted to pursue as a career. So about 2 years ago was sort of that defining moment for me.
Okay. And that makes sense based off of some of the timeline for your music, but we'll get into that in a moment. Let's go ahead and get on into you in the present day, and we're going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
How'd I pick the name? Okay. Well, about 3 or 4 years ago, I was making a game name.
Okay.
For a game called CSGO. And I was thinking of like, what would be cool? What would be, kind of, fitting with how I play the game and stuff. And I just came up with Wavy Drops.
Okay.
That was my name. And then it changed to Wavy John. That's what my name used to be. And then when I was first getting on Spotify, my rapper name was Young John. So
don't we all start with some kind of young?
Yeah, exactly. But then I just switched the Wavy John around to John Wavy because I was having to find a new name because Young John was already taken by like a bunch of artists on Spotify.
I was going to say, I imagine that's not the most unique one by this point.
Yeah. So I just switched the Wavy and the John around to John Wavy, a little more concrete than Wavy John.
Yeah. It feels classy. I do this bit where periodically I'll break down people's names, and it was one of those ones where it was like just casual but cool enough that I was almost curious if it was your actual name.
Whoa, yeah, that's
kind of like a Julian Outlaw. Shout out Julian.
Shout out Julian.
That's his real name.
Yeah,
some people just have like these like specifically good names for the stage. So I was curious if it was your real name or not, but it's a good one. It's very easy to remember. It's very easy to spell. It's very catchy. Like,
thank you.
Like I said, it feels comfortable. Like it just like you can introduce yourself as that, and people aren't going to be like, oh, this feels like a stage name.
Yeah.
So I think it's a solid one.
Thank you.
But now let's go ahead and let's get on into your a little bit of your writing process. And we're going to break it up into chunks, but we're going to start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
To get a track started, I will focus on my first line. Like I feel like for me, my first opening line in a song, it has a lot of power and a lot of direction to where I'm going to take the song. So that first line is usually a part of the chorus, but that's what I'll write first. So.
And will you do you pick out beats ahead of time? Do you have somebody who sends you a grip of them? Do you just go on the old YouTubes?
Well,
about picking what you're going to do music over?
I usually have a bunch of beats that I will select off of YouTube.
Okay.
There's some producers that I go to and I will listen to a bunch of their beats with them and choose some of those. But usually I have beats that I find off of YouTube. Like I'll go through a searching process of hours at a time and I will just collect beats essentially. And that's a different feeling than when it is when I'm writing a song. Yeah. So I will do that and make sure that's out of the way. And then when I'm feeling like writing a song, that's when I will just find the right beat.
Yeah, you'll just kind of go through your catalog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then once you get the first line picked out, because you said you usually like make that the hook.
Yeah, usually.
How do you go about, like, do you build the whole hook and then go to like first verse, second verse, or will you kind of just like jump around as it like comes to you?
I've found like doing it in order, like writing the chorus and then the verse and then a bridge and then second verse. I've found that's like the most easiest for me.
Okay.
But there has been plenty of times where I've been writing. There has been plenty of times where I was writing and I wrote parts that I was like questioning or not sure about, or it was an unfinished thought. And then that, even though it was written before the first verse, might even be like the ending of the second verse.
Okay.
So there's times where I write something and I'm like, whoa, like this is hitting and it goes well with the chorus. It goes well with the message and the meaning of the song, but I will set it aside in the notes that I'm writing and I will use it later.
Okay. And do you record at home at all to like get ideas out, or do you usually just like kind of pen and paper it until you can get into a space?
I have a home studio that I work in. It's right in my bedroom. That's usually where I'm making most of my music. I do have one song called Speed Racing, and that was recorded at Big Bet Studios. Shout out to Bobby Bars.
Hell yeah, shout out to Bobby. And actually, that's a really solid track. I dig that one a lot.
Oh, thank you.
And then once you get a track finished writing, because it sounds like, you know, you pen and paper. Yeah, I imagine you don't do a ton of freestyling.
I do a good amount of freestyling.
Oh, cool. Okay, so do you freestyle and then like write it down after you've like gotten it into the mic?
Well, it's actually different. Like for me, I will freestyle to get into the vibe of writing, to get my creative juices flowing, essentially.
Oh, so you literally do both.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But when I'm writing a song, I usually will write everything. I don't usually like go off the top or freestyle words.
Okay.
If I'm like in the beginning stages of making a song, I will like hum a melody, but then I will just like remember that melody and put words to it.
Okay.
By writing.
I dig that.
Thank you.
I like that idea of like freestyling to like get into the space and then like intentfully putting words down. That feels like a very like thought out process.
Yeah.
And then once you get a track finished, like writing, it doesn't have to be like produced and put out per se. But once you've gotten it to where you've got all the words and you're ready to kind of like memorize it, how long does it usually take you to get to the point where you're comfortable performing it?
Well, there's been many times where I've written a song even the day of the performance.
Oh, shit.
And it's like a couple days before. I try not to do like exactly the same day.
Yeah.
That was just one time actually, but I had stayed up super late, wrote a song after I slept that morning, you know. I performed the song.
Damn, and you like did you have all the words? Did you kind of goof?
There was a good amount of words that I was missing. It just depends, like certain parts.
Yeah,
but
I mean, respectfully, that it's an impressive that you attempted it. Even Thanks. What I mean, like that I think takes a little. I could never do that. I'm the worst at remembering lyrics that aren't from like songs I've listened to a million times.
Yeah.
But no, that's I dig that. That's super cool. Let's talk about your music a little bit.
Bet.
And you've got music going all the way back to 2018 on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
But your music on Spotify only goes to 2023, and I imagine that's kind of where the solidifying experience happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I could tell like there was a little gap between 2020 and 2023.
Yeah.
And the
dropping music.
Yeah. And the change was massive. Like you kind of started as more just this like kind of like very like based in like rap hip hop, very like direct approach. And after you came back, you had more of that, kind of true to your name sound. It was a little more wavy. It was a little more R&B-ish. It was a little more like melodic.
Yeah.
And there was definitely there was a glow up almost. And like the approach seemed more solidified. The sound definitely got a lot better from that jump in time. And it just felt more intentional even.
Yeah.
I was listening to your most recent EP, Long Lost Love, which props for bringing it out on Valentine's Day. I thought that was
thank
fun.
you.
I thought that was a clever touch. And I mean, it was cool. Again, it was very melodic. The bass was huge on the whole EP, except for like that very last track where like wasn't like dominantly
more mellow
bass. Yeah, but the low end it was fat. I really appreciated the use of guitar sounds
through most of it. It kind of gave it this extra layer of like an emotional feel. And like I said, there was a lot of like R&B-ish elements, but it didn't feel like R&B per se.
Yeah, maybe like trap soul.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Those were the combination of words I was looking for that I didn't write earlier. But yes, very much so. But I do this bit where I pick out a personal like choice of like one track that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And well, Long Lost Love was really good. Stay Lifted, your album from 2023, was also really good. And I'm going to say it here. I had a hard time picking a track. Like it's nearly a cover to cover experience. Like I enjoyed all of it, and I was going to make little notes about every single one, but then I realized people can go listen to it. Y'all should pause this right now, go listen to the whole thing, come back in 16 minutes.
Go check out the project from 2023, Stay Lifted by John Wavy. It's out on every music platform.
Yes, sir. And we'll have you replug it again in a moment. But I did pick out one track.
Yeah.
And I decided to go with Sway.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was just, it was so chill. The beat was a vibe. It was so mellow, but like the sound in it had this like everything but the drums had this like bit crusher element on them.
Yeah.
It gave it this like extra bite without being intrusive. So like the beat itself, solid choice. And then you were just so locked in with it. You were like going quickly, but you weren't like gassing.
Yeah.
You like found this perfect sweet spot where like everything just moved into the next word so comfortably, but still like you could relax to it. Like it didn't feel like you were rushing to get anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It just kind of embodies the element of that album really well. And each track itself had their own feel, which I thought was really cool. It wasn't like you were listening and suddenly, oh shit, I've listened to 6 tracks and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
And for only being 16 minutes long, the album feels really full.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is something that kind of like every track I would listen to, and by the end of it, I'd be like, I feel like this was like 3.5 minutes, but it was only like
1.5.
It was only a couple. Yeah. So that was really cool. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of steamrolling this part by talking so much, but I am curious to know, what are some of your favorite songs to perform?
Some of my favorite songs to perform, I would say it's an old song that is still unreleased. But it's called Yeah, Yeah. That's one of my favorites currently to perform. It's super fun. It's super chill. I think the verse is cool and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Another one I would definitely say has to be More Out of Life.
Mm-hmm.
Another unreleased song that I have that I'm planning to drop pretty soon.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And actually, that kind of segues well into the next question, which is, tell us a little bit about new stuff you're working on. What are some of the sounds we can look forward to? Describe some of the like characteristics. How is your sound changing, or if it's staying the same, what are you doing to kind of like, make it different?
Yeah. I think the one thing that really comes to mind when you say that is sort of like a distorted sound, but a distorted sound that's not so overbearing.
Yeah.
It's just more like chill and like really hits nice in the speakers.
Will it be in the beats or in your vocals or both?
A little bit of both. Like I do a decent amount of distortion in my vocal mixing.
Okay.
But I'm really looking for like that, slightly distorted sound. But when it really comes to the music and like the meaning of the vocals and stuff, I'm looking to bring like an uplifting feeling.
Okay.
Something that people can relate to, vibe out to, or just smoke to, stuff like that.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I dig that. And it's definitely still, like I said, very on brand, but I feel like I can kind of imagine it, and it sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
And now let's go ahead and let's take a step back. We're going to look at kind of music as a whole. What are some of the things about either newer music in general or just music that's new to you that you find like inspiration from, or that you just find enjoyable?
I would say music that's new to me that I find enjoyable and inspiration from is sort of like alternative rock.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like definitely shoegaze, that genre of alternative rock. I find people really put their heart and soul into those lyrics and into those deliveries when they're recording.
Yeah.
I find a lot of inspiration from those.
shoegaze is a good genre to like lean on if you're looking for relaxed but distorted as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that there's strong elements in that particular genre that kind of correlate with what. Now I'm even more excited for some of your new music that's coming out. So that's really cool. And also, I don't get a lot of people who like. I don't know that I've ever had anybody who mainly does like hip hop who has brought up shoegaze as like a source of inspiration. So that's really cool. And then before we get into the next portion, which is all hypothetical questions, this next one's probably the densest question in the interview.
Okay.
We talked a lot about, your experience with music, your actions, your reactions, but when it's just you and the music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Music gives me energy. Music gives me life. It gives me a reason to use my voice even more than I had before. I think it gives me passion.
That was a really good answer.
Thanks.
Hell yeah. I love that. And also, I think it's interesting that you said it gave you a reason to use your voice more than before.
Yeah.
Like, were you like generally a quieter person growing up, or were you like fairly animated and then you just found a way to like harness that energy?
I think I just found a way to harness it. I wasn't always like too quiet. Some people might say I was like a class clown in school sometimes, or maybe even an attention seeker.
Okay.
But I just found a way to use my voice more purposefully.
Yeah, kind of redirect that energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you find that because of it, you are now kind of more like centered with yourself, maybe a little more at peace just in general because you have kind of an outlet for that experience?
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's a little more outside of the music aspect question.
Yeah, thanks.
But now let's go ahead and let's get on into you. Long day. Let's get into some hypothetical questions. And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one's pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
My main answer, my only answer is Trippie Redd.
Okay.
I would love to make a song with Trippie Redd. And how we would do it is we would roll up like 5 backwoods, get absolutely smacked. We will search through beats from producers like Honorable C Note, Ronnie J produced it. Producers like that, we would look through beats from them, make an absolute anthem. I'm telling you, we would make a song people would dance to, jump to, rage to, vibe to, smoke to. That's pretty much how it would go down if I could do that.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty broad spectrum of experiences to have happen off of a track. That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
I would say a local artist that I would want to connect with that I haven't already would probably be this guy named 12 Play.
Okay.
Yeah.
The name sounds familiar. I think I've seen them before.
Yeah, he's been on shows, a couple same shows as me before. But I haven't really connected so much, but I really like his music.
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, you know what to do. Add him in the comments. Let's see if we can get that to happen. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it was guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere. Where would you want to perform?
Whoa, that's crazy. I've never even thought of that. I think where I'd want to perform is maybe like on top of something cool, maybe like the Eiffel Tower or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe like have some huge speakers that are just like connected to the ground. Everyone can hear me, but like I'm just like somewhere on the middle level of the Eiffel Tower with a platform.
Yeah.
Something like that. Something tall or something elevated.
Okay. Hell yeah. No, I dig that. You could have like screens just hanging off the side that like show you up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then for this last one.
Yeah.
You could get one more album from anybody. They could be alive. They could be dead. They could have not put out an album in 100 years. They could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you want an album from?
XXX Tentacion.
Hell yeah. Oh, you had that locked.
Yeah.
Locked. And damn it, I'm always curious, like, what his music would have been like today.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? Like, he was definitely somebody that I think we lost well before they had like reached any kind of peak. And I think he really would have been so influential now, like with like just where his music would have gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think he was going through like some really good change that I'm curious where his music would have been too.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like growth is always such an interesting thing for people when they're able to like grow through their music. Like, you know, look at like, I mentioned him plenty of times on the show, but look at Tyler. Like being able to experience his whole journey through his music is something that like I really enjoy about it. And I think that that's just something we'll never, you know, respectfully never get to get. But I think we really would have got something powerful from it. So yeah, that is a solid answer for sure. But now let's go ahead and let's start wrapping things up. And with what can we look forward to in the future? What's let's say between now and January?
In between now and January, you can look forward to a bunch of new music, a couple projects. I'm probably going to drop anywhere from 10 to 20 songs from now to January.
Oh, damn.
I'm thinking so because I have a couple projects lined up and maybe a third one that might come out.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to all of that. For this next one, go and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me by searching John Wavy on any platform. On Instagram, you can search John, JOHN, _, Wavy. Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to Bobby Bars. Bobby Bars runs this cool open mic every week in Vancouver called The Day Shift.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I first started performing. This is where I learned a lot about performing and made a lot of awesome connections with people. So shout out to Bobby Bars, 2 R's, 1 Z. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, don't get it twisted. Sorry, Bobby.
Another person I want to shout out is Money Kid. This guy's been a good friend to me. We've made one song together, performed on many shows together, and we're working on making a project as well. So shout out to Money Kid 503, 2 D's and Money Kid. Another person to shout out would be my best friends, Ethan and Ethan. These guys have been always there for me for my music and pushing me to go even harder and always showing out to the shows. So shout out to them.
Hell yeah. And then we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Yeah.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Okay.
But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
An album I think that's on the obscure side. I would say the Exclamation album by Trippie Redd.
Oh yeah. I had a feeling it was going to be a Trippie Redd album.
So yeah.
I appreciate the continuity.
Yeah.
But why would you pick that album?
Well, there's a few songs like a few songs on there that really are just different from what we had heard from him before he made that album.
Mm-hmm.
And that really just open up new avenues for the sound.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah.
All right. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks for putting up with the heat. It is hot as shit in here.
Hot as hell. But yeah, thank you for having me, Jimmy.
Yeah, of course. And with that being said, this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm John Wavy.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast. This is a show. Keep jamming.